What's going on, guys? Sincere here with whoissincere.com. I want to bring you a quick update here on the findings here that they had out there in Oregon regarding the shooting of Lavoy and that whole ambush situation that took place. They've declared that it was justified, and I've posted some videos to my channel, and I promised that I'd speak on it a little bit and give my opinion of what I think about their findings here. I'll leave a link to this article. It seems to cover all the information that was actually covered right here in this press conference today. So I'll make sure I leave a link for this article so you guys get updated on the information. What they're pretty much saying is this. I'll give you a quick rundown. Is that 8 shots were fired total, and that would be by state officials and federal officials, collectively. 6 were fired by state. They were all justified. 2 were fired by federal, and they were part of some help and response team or hostage response team or something like that. So that's a technical term, this hostage response team. What they're pretty much saying is snipers, okay? And from the evidence that's out there, there's pictures that I also have a couple picture videos on my YouTube channel. The evidence out there clearly shows that there were snipers, at this second blockade. So, but they don't call them that in the press conference. But if you put all this information together, I'll just, be a little bit short about it. If you put all the information together, it's, to me, in my opinion, I'm going to bluntly say it looks like murder. That's what it looks like to me. Now, I'm going to break down very quickly why I think it looks like murder and what I saw out of all of the, I've looked over just about everything today. I've watched the press conference. I've seen Shauna Cox's full video, from her cell phone from being inside the truck. I have that posted to my YouTube account. Jeanette Finicum, I've watched her full video that she's released on Lavoy Finicum's YouTube channel after the press conference today. I've followed up with some other people, and I have, a pretty decent understanding of what went on. What I haven't heard anyone talk about, and what the FBI and the state officials were so clever at doing, is omitting one little piece of evidence that would either turn this into a homicide or leave it justified, as they say. And that piece of evidence is the person that actually came out of the wood line. I don't have a picture up right now, but you guys that have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But the person that came out of the wood line with their hand extended, that person was, that wasn't a shotgun or anything like that. They were holding what the officials called a less than lethal device, which was a taser. So there was a taser with the person that was coming out of the woods, and then there was 2 people that were standing behind Lavoy Finicum. He was shot 3 times in the back, okay, by those 2 people standing behind him. Now, at the time that he was being shot, they said he wasn't shot before then. So at the time that he was shot in the back, the 2 officers were said to have thought that Lavoy was going for his weapon, which is a weapon that nobody recognizes, going for his weapon, and that the person with the taser was possibly in danger, which would have been the federal agent coming out of the woods. Now, with that being said, the FBI did allude to the fact that that taser was deployed, so it was actually used. What I see in the video, and if you look it over, is there's no clear line of when the taser was shot and when the gunshots were fired. Okay, and blurring that line that says two things. It says that they're able to take this whichever way they want to, really, and declare it justified, which they did. But what it also says is there's a chance to show that this is not justified, because the person running out of the woods at Lavoy Finicum, he obviously did not feel threatened enough to use lethal force on Lavoy Finicum to be running towards him. Okay? So you have to remember that the people that shot him from behind, they shot him from behind as this guy is running towards him, and he's literally within about 10 feet of him. Okay? So at this point in time, there's really not a reason to shoot the Lavoy Finicum, because the person that's closest to him has the situation under control. Okay? They've already entered into a closer scope than the other people, that were actually there, and this person had a non-lethal that was deployed. Now, the interesting thing is you can see Lavoy's body seize up as if, being hit with the non-lethal device instead of a bullet. He didn't fall forward even though he was shot from behind, which leads me to believe, by the way that his body, seized up and the way he fell backwards actually into the side, is that the non-lethal actually hit him first. And when his body jerked, those officers shot their weapons. Okay? So I'm thinking that, if that is the case, if what I'm saying actually happened, and the taser actually hit him first instead of the bullets, then those shots are not justified. Okay, because he would have already have been subdued by the non-lethal. And then anything after the non-lethal would have been excessive force. Does that make any sense? So I hope you guys are seeing, where I'm going with that, and the whole fact that this federal agent is running out of the woods towards Lavoy, so he obviously was not feeling any kind of, immediate threat to his own self, besides the fact that he had the taser up to try to get him to comply. And I guess when he didn't feel like he was complying, he decided to deploy that taser. Now, he deployed the taser in the fact of him maybe not complying. At the same time, the state police shot him from behind because they didn't know what was going on. Or so they say, even though the boy had his hands in the air and he was kind of looking frantic. So, Lavoy's words may have hurt him a little bit here. His words were something to the tune of, "You believe you're going to have to kill me," or something like that. Or, so he was kind of talking like that. High energy, you're in the moment. The thing is, he didn't threaten anybody at any time. He never pulled a gun. And the funny thing is, that's what during the press conference, what they said is, well, it's okay to pretty much shoot an individual, even if you think they're going to pull the gun. They don't really have to pull it and draw it or anything like that. But if it looks like they're going to do it, it's okay, because if the officer senses that there's going to be a threat, that is setting up a whole new precedent. I mean, a whole new precedent, and they're literally rewriting the laws as they go. So we have to be wary of what we see, this flexibility that they allow for themselves in law enforcement, because that's all it really boils down to. And then, they're trying to investigate the 2 shots from the FBI. They're saying that those shots were not disclosed. So my prediction on how that's going to turn out is they'll get a slap on the wrist for that, for not disclosing the fact that they, fired their weapons. With that slap on the wrist, it'll pretty much go away. They'll give them the slap on the wrist because they didn't disclose it, but they'll still say, well, the shots were justified given the nature of the vehicle being used as a weapon, as they said. So, it's all a cover-up. This whole story of the FBI cover-up that the news media is going to run with, that is a cover-up to the fact of what really happened. And what I believe what we can't allow to pass by was the fact that Lavoy Finicum, in my opinion, was hit with that taser before he was shot. And if he was hit with that taser first before those bullets entered his body, then those bullets never needed to enter his body. Okay? So in their own words, that was obviously a very powerful taser because it's called a less than lethal taser. Yeah, I don't know. It's not non-lethal, but it's just less than lethal. So that lets me know it could possibly be a little bit lethal. But, especially with Lavoy Finicum's age and stuff like that, he would have automatically, have succumbed to being shot like that. It's a very easy thing to see. He's not Lavoy is, look, he's an older gentleman, and being an older gentleman, he, getting hit with a taser like that would have taken him down, and they would have put handcuffs on him, taken him to jail, and the whole situation would have been over. So I don't think those 3 shots to the back were necessary, and that's just my opinion. Alright guys, that's my breakdown of the situation. To answer one other question too, somebody wanted to know about the police shots in the beginning at the first initial stop. The video that they released today, it still doesn't show exactly what happened all the way through the whole first stop, and I have that video on my channel. You can check that out as well. I'm not really sure what to say about that, except for the fact that it doesn't appear that there were any shots in the video, the portion of the video that they've shown, and the video from Shauna Cox from her cell phone. It actually shows that they pretty much just decided to drive off to go see the sheriff, like they said they were going to do. And when they drove off, they weren't in any kind of threat, or they weren't being shot at as they were driving off. So they drove off, they sped up, they were talking on their way down the road. When they got around the bend, and I don't believe they saw, going 70-something miles an hour, they didn't see the roadblock in front of them, and they had no time to stop. And then they got, 3 shots unloaded in the windshield. So, just an unfortunate situation, but I really do believe they were still ambushed, and it really shouldn't have happened like that. It shouldn't have. I've seen, police chases happen out here and where I live at, and they don't end in people getting shot and, ambushed with snipers. So it's a very weird thing when, you're having a police stop, but you really have snipers up in the woods. So I've never been stopped by the police and had snipers in the woods. I don't really think that's necessary, especially when they were going to a peaceful meeting. It's not like these guys didn't know where they were going. They knew where they were going. They weren't going anywhere to cause any kind of trouble or harm. Okay, so, my opinion, yeah, they were murdered. And, after that taser hits somebody, you don't have to shoot them. We've seen this happen before in the United States. Black Lives Matters talks about this all the time. I've even said before that this was going to hit the West Coast and this was going to hit the ranching community. Unfortunately, I said this last year during 2015 when all the things were going on with Black Lives Matter, that this was going to happen because people don't understand that this is not just about black people being killed. Yeah, they're being killed the most because of that's how this government works and who it's ran by. But at the end of the day, this is, classism comes before racism. So, that's what this is really all about, an us versus them system. We didn't create it. we being the middle class and the lower end of, the poorer people, we didn't create this system. They created it. The elite created this system. So it's an us versus them system to them. And, that's how they treat us. And that's where we're at right now. And, they use the police and they use the federal agents as their personal hitmen at times, and their goons and their thugs and their personal protection. That's what they do. And it's really sad. It's really unfortunate. And I would just say this. Don't ever let them take away your constitutional God-given rights. And never, ever, ever let them take away your gun rights. Never let a man with a gun tell you you shouldn't have a gun. That just doesn't make sense. Never trust that man. If a man with a gun tells you that you shouldn't have a gun, run and get some more guns. So that's how I feel about that. But yeah, guys, that's all I have. That's my take on this whole situation. Like I said, I'll leave this article here below so you guys could go ahead and get into it and read over it a little bit. But just know that you're reading the slanted view of these things, and the talking points and all of that. The reality of the situation is you should just go to my timeline here on YouTube, and I have probably about 30 videos covering this whole situation, from the photos of the crime scene, from well over 10 interviews now with folks in Oregon, with Brandon Curtis, the head of the Idaho 3 Percenters, with Deb Jordan and Staff Sergeant Mo and Pete Santilli, and just various people. I may have even thrown up the conversation I had with David Fry on Revolution Radio. So, you guys go to my channel and check it all out. The media is not going to give you the full truth of what's going on. And when I talk to folks, they obviously have no idea what this is really all about. Let's keep the Hammonds in prayer. Let's keep the Bundys in prayer, now that they have Cliven as well too. And look, I'm a black guy, and I'm telling you now that I'm really being real about this thing. I fight for my black brothers and sisters, but I also fight for my white brothers and sisters. It's about all rights matter. #ARM. All rights matter. That's what it's about for me. So I don't care about your color as long as your cause is right. It's not about color, it's about cause. And we have to fight for each other's causes. If we can't do that, then we lose and they win. And we might as well just put a dictator in office. It won't matter. Put an authoritarian in office. So if we want to fight for our country, if we want to own America ourselves, the people of the land, us own America the way we're supposed to, and us control the government the way we're supposed to, then we're going to start standing up. We're going to start realizing that all rights do matter, and that we need to fight for the rights of our neighbor, just like our neighbor needs to help us fight for our rights against our common enemy. That's what this all boils down to. It's simple and clear. We got to get out of education. We got to get into action now. We have to withdraw our support from this rogue, lawless government. If you're paying taxes this year and you're still planning on paying taxes next year, and living this kind of life where you're supporting all the corruption that's going on, I would urge you to reconsider how you're living your life. Your these elections really aren't going to matter, because your vote's not really going to matter that much. But what's going to matter is the personal action that you take in your own life within your own community. And not just you, it's everyone collectively. That's where we're at now. So we have to go ahead and start getting to work, guys. All rights matter. Rest in peace to Lavoy Finicum. It's so terrible that he was murdered. I watched his wife, Jeanette Finicum, and She's obviously heartbroken, so our prayers go out to her. As always, guys, stay alert, stay alive.